was a 95 percentile time. Almost got it perfectly. Grand Rising, everyone. This is Chase Steele Greye, and let me fix my kind of in and I'm kind of out. Okay, it's fine. Welcome to the Daily Huddle. You know, it's great for all of us to be here. And if you have never met me before, my apologies. My name is Chase Steele Greye, singer, vocalist, actor, philanthropist, creator, curious soul. Let's put it all together like that. And I'm here because this is Health and Wellness Wednesdays, where we speak about a lot of things that are dealing with health, wellness, and everything in between. As you probably know, health and wellness is a very large topic. If you Google health and wellness, you will see so many things you won't have time to go out that day. That's how many things there are, right? So I take it really seriously in my own personal life. And when I speak about it, I really make sure that I'm speaking about topics that everyone can really connect with. That's why I love health and wellness, because it goes so many places. And I guarantee you'll hear something today that'll be great for you. And I hope that, I wish that for you. So health and wellness today, the topic is, what is your self-image? What you see, what they see, and what is, right? Isn't that interesting, right? 3 different topics, because honestly and truly, what we see is not what other people see usually. And if we go to someone who's, let's call them a third party, let's say a health professional or a fitness instructor or a doctor, it may not be what they see, right? So this topic is interesting to me because, and I said before, it's really interesting that today I'm near a park. It's actually not a park, it's a daycare. And I was looking at these children as I was going by and looking at how they just flow and they're jumping up and down. And it's like 9 o'clock in the morning and they're bouncing off the walls and whatever, right? Now, if you see a child in the morning and you ask them, what do you feel about yourself? They'll probably give you some really interesting answer, right? Unfiltered, off the top, right? By the way, I plan to interview a child in the upcoming weeks because I have a really interesting thing that I want to do. That's just a little teaser, right? So, body image or self-image. Ask yourself right now, how do you see yourself? This can be a really deep question for a lot of people, right? When I ask the question, how do you see yourself? Self-image, it can be, body included or whatever, but how do you see yourself? Like, if you were walking down the street and I said to you, let's use someone outside of yourself, how do you see yourself? Is that you? Is that you? Is that you? Years ago, Oprah Winfrey did a show. I don't think it was called Self-Image, but it was more about the body. And I think she put 10 women on the stage. And then she went into the audience and she said, I picked 10 people in the audience to stand next to the person that looks like them. This was really interesting. So they were able to stand next to the person who felt, looked, had the vibe of them. And what was really interesting about it was, I believe, maybe half of them stood next to somebody who was completely different than them, right? Like physically, right? So you ever talk to somebody about their image or about their body? And I say particularly women, no disrespect. It's just I've had more conversations with women who talk about their weight and their self-image being skewed from what it usually is. Not as many men for some reason. But when the women went to the stage to stand next to the person, I mean, it was so incredible. She would say, like, what size are you? And the woman would say, I'm a size 8. And she would say, well, this woman is a size 10. And she would say, what size are you? And she would say, I'm a size 5. And she'd be like, this woman is a size 3. It was almost off every time, right? Based on how we see the physicality, I guess, of a person. But the question that I asked you before is, how do you see yourself? And is that taking away from your mental wellness because you see yourself um, even as less capable, right? Take away the physical for a moment. How do you see yourself as you enter uh, the world, or as you walk out of your house every day? Are you building up your image by doing things to enhance your image? I'm not even talking about how people see you. I mean, you. Do you spend a certain amount of time putting on nice clothes or ironing or getting your hair right or smelling nice? What is the image of you, and how are you um, literally feeding that every day, right? This question comes up because I speak to a lot of people every day and I perform every day. And when I'm performing, I watch people and I get this feeling that certain people love what they're bringing out to the world and certain people don't, right? So I'm going to give you an example. I was singing about, it was probably like a year ago, and a really, really well-known actor was walking by me, and then he came over to me and he gave me some money. He said, "You sound good." And I looked at him and I was like, "Hey, I know you. I love what you do." And he goes, uh, "Thank you." And he put his head down and he walked away. And I was like, did he do that because he didn't want me to recognize him? Or did he do that because I was looking at him too long? It was like a thing that happened in that moment. And I thought, oh, okay, let me not read into that much. But I got a vibe from him, right? Then on the other side, there is a person that I know. She's a dear friend of mine. And she's been living with MS for 13 years, I think, right? If you saw her on the stage, you would gasp. You'd be like, wow, that girl is a ball of energy. She will blow you out of the water with her energy. But when you speak to her off stage, still nice, still like bubbly, whatever. When I found out that she had MS, I immediately spoke to her about what her self image was. Like, how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as thriving? Do you see yourself as getting past this? How do you see yourself? She said, I work every day. I make sure I'm laughing, I'm smiling, I'm eating good foods. I'm not what I used to be, but I just get tired quicker now. But do you know I've had this for 12 years? I think it was 12 then, it might be 13 now. I was like, I can't believe you just said, I can't believe it. She said, because if I stop moving, this thing is going to get me. And then she said it. She said, the image of myself that I see, because my mom just died a little while ago, she said, is beating this thing. And that's why I go out into the world the way I do with my makeup on. And I just make sure I'm singing a song and I got my water. And I so appreciated that because she wanted to get inside of it. Like she wanted the world to see that she was a fighter. And what I'm saying to you is that I was on stage with this girl 20 times. I had no idea that she had MS because MS looks differently to me. I have one person who had MS in my family um, on my mother's side. And I watched her go from this gorgeous, vibrant woman slowly to someone in a wheelchair who couldn't really move her body that much. She fought it as well. She's a great example of that. And when I asked her about herself, she was like, I'm fine. I'm breathing. I got my family. Everything's great. And she was smiling. I'd be like, wow, that is awesome. I always remember her. Right. So we see how self image can connect also to attitude. Right. It can leak right over into that. But I'm going to move over now to think about what was the note that I wrote here? Um, oh, so when we talk about self, there's this thing, and I think, oh man, if we talk about distorted self, let's just say that a distorted self, where you see yourself, but you see yourself distorted. And I say that because some people may have like a physical thing on their body that's different from everyone else. And so they bring that around with them all the time and they feel like I'm different because I have I'm trying to give you a good example of that. Oh, okay. I once knew a woman who had 9 fingers. This is true. And when I met her, I think it was the second time I met her. We were doing gigs together, and she was actually an EC, which means an event coordinator. Maybe the second time I saw her, I realized she only had 9 fingers, and I was like, "Wow, that's intense." So as we were talking, when we became closer friends over the years, I said, "How is having one less finger affecting your life, or does it affect your life or your image?" I remember asking her that, like the image of yourself. She goes, I don't think about it anymore because I have a job to do. I have people to deal with. And when people deal with it, I mean, when people see me and they say something about it, I just laugh and say, yeah, when I was a kid, I had a really bad accident, had to cut my finger off. That was it. I just went on. I don't make it a barrier in my life. I don't tell people it so they can treat me differently. And quite honestly, most people never notice it. I'm surprised that you noticed it. I said, yeah, I don't know what it was. You were doing something and I saw your hand. When we say the distorted self, a lot of people, this is from just my experience around being people, they take that one thing that's distorted on them and they think, I'm not going to be accepted because of this. I'm not going to be accepted because of that. I was having a conversation the other day with my father about Peter Dinklage. I don't know if you know who that is. Peter Dinklage is the guy who's the most famous from Hunger Games, right? The little person that's in Hunger Games. He's been in so many things. I find him to be a phenomenal actor. Phenomenal. I've seen him at least 3 or 4 times in New York City where I actually spoke to him. So I saw him the other day, like 2 days ago. I was walking in Brooklyn in a place called Dumbo, which stands for Down Under Manhattan Bridge Overpass in New York. And I saw him coming towards me with a hat on, jeans, a lightning bolt t-shirt, and a jacket. I know he knows who I am because I've seen him quite a few times. So I see him and I go, hey man, what's up? He goes, hey, how are you? I said, I love what you do, man. Good to see you again. He goes, thanks. He kind of has like a curmudgeon vibe about him. When you see him, he's kind of like, every time you see him, he's not really smiling or open or whatever. And I thought to myself, that's the guy I want to talk to about image, about self-image, because he can't hide the fact that I mean, I don't know how tall he is. What is that? 3 feet, 3.5? I don't know what it is. Everywhere he goes, he's the smallest guy in the room, right? Unless he goes like to a park with kids or whatever. He has a kid or he has 2 kids. He has a wife. His wife is taller than him. How does he go through life um, being that size and people coming at him all the time? Or maybe that's why he's kind of like, I'm ready for you. Don't say anything. He has like a face on. It's crazy. I don't even think he's an unhappy person. I just think that's his vibe because he's probably been pushed around by people so much in his life, that he's ready for it if it happens. So as we talk about our self-image, or you talk about your self-image, do you find that you are ready for criticism at any moment because you're not feeling sure of yourself? Or if you're feeling a little bit overweight, do you walk out into the world covering up so that that's not a part of the conversation for people, or wearing more black so you can seem thinner? That's the thing. And I say that to you. Hold on a second. I say that to you because I would like to say to you, you know what? We are here and we can change the things that we want to change if we really, really, really concentrate on it, but in a better way. Or to say a better way, I always feel like your self-image starts so far from within you that when we do these little things, or we try to do these little things to change our self-image, they're just little band-aids. I will also say, because this is what I feel from my heart, and I think we've spoken about this on some other huddles, for some people, there's a self-image that is embedded in us through who we came from, right? Now, I can only speak about me, but I can tell you this with much conviction. When I was a young boy and I watched my fathers, plural, I watched both of them very closely. I watched how they wrote. I watched how they spoke. I watched how they dressed. I watched how people connected with them. I listened to how people talked about them, right? The whole circle. And I remember thinking, man, my dad has such great handwriting. I love that handwriting. And I said in my mind, I'm going to be that. That's going to be my thing. I'm going to write like that. And I started trying to copy his handwriting. And my best friend wrote in these like capitals, like he was a graffiti artist. And my dad wrote in capitals, like he was a graffiti artist. And I was like, wow, that is so freaking cool. I don't know. I didn't sit there like on a paper and like all day write. I just, every time I got a chance to write, I tried to bring that in. And after a while, people said, Chase, you have really great handwriting. It's so pretty. And I was like, thank you. And then bling, I used to see my dad in my head, right? As it relates to dressing, my dad, both my fathers dressed so well all the time. They were both leaders of something at some point in my childhood. So they wore suits and they wore nice shoes and they smelled nice and they had fresh shirts, wonderful watches. And I was like, wow, you guys are awesome. I used to say that to myself all the time. But as a kid, like in my head, little by little, I started to have suits. I started to have nice shoes. I have more shoes than any red-blooded male should have in life. Trust me, I have more shoes than women that I've dated, right? That comes from my dad. It comes from my dad, I'm telling you. So that became an image of me. My dad always used to say, make sure you have good looking shoes. Shine shoes are very important. I was like, that's, I don't know what that about that. My shoes are on the bottom. People are not looking down at my feet all the time. It was true. It was true. People said stuff to me about my shoes. People said things to me about my, uh, my tie or my suit, or they did. They said about all that stuff. So I believe my particular self-image came from these beautiful men that raised me, right? My natural born father and my bonus father, who are still alive, who still nurture me. I can talk to them all the time if I want to. It's great. I'm blessed in that way. Very, very blessed. I just want to concentrate on the fact that if we actually knew how much we personally are worth to the bigger picture, I believe it would change our self-image. And for some of us, it doesn't happen until we brush up against somebody that we inspire or that we lift up. And then we see like a mirror, you know, something happens. As a kid, whenever I liked a piece of clothing that my father had, he would just give it to me. My dad and I were the same size clothing when I was in high school and through college. And now we are close to the same size again. And I would say, Dad, that's an amazing shirt. Or Dad, those shoes are so cool. He'd be like, take them. And he would give them to me. And now I'm wearing the cool thing that I liked. It changed the way I saw myself. First, internally, it was just a shirt, or it was just a jacket, it was just a pair of shoes, or whatever. And my dad always says things about clothing. I think I mentioned this on the huddle a long time ago. There's this joke with my father where if I call him right now and he picks up the phone, many times he'll say, Chaser, what's going on? I'm wearing a blue suit with a tie that will demolish you. You couldn't even talk to somebody if you saw this tie I'm wearing. I said, Dad, I didn't ask you what you were wearing. He's like, I know, but you got to, you know what? Let me go FaceTime. And he'll open the phone up and he'll show me the tie. It's the best thing ever. Anyway, my dad at 75 is still as vibrant as he was at 35, so it's awesome. But my point in bringing that up is that, the example of self-image that you have also can dictate who you are today. And that could be really hard to change. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, like, I give total respect to the concept of, well, yeah, Chase, I get what you're saying, but and during this time, this is how I've been, this is who I am, and I want to change it, but it's a little difficult. I get that. I totally get that. My point is, be gentle with yourself, because the tools you have been given to you specifically for you to be a catalyst in this thing that we call life. That's how I see it, right? So for you to empower yourself to have a better self-image, to be more confident, right? As an example, Mr. Mastermind himself, Stan, is on the huddle. When I look at Stan, I'm like, this is a guy who's serious about who he is and how he crafts his self-image. He's not doing the masterminds. You could say, look at me, Stan, I'm Superman. He's giving the information out readily and continually. And I believe that changes his self-image as well, right? I always saw him like that before I knew he was Mastermind Stan. I always saw that. Again, I give you the example from the outside because one of the things I said earlier was how people see you. How do people see you? If someone says, hey, how do people see you, Kurt? Well, you know what? First of all, it's nobody's business how someone sees you, Kurt. It's just a what's the word I'm looking for? It's an opinion, right? Kurt, I see you. You're a great guy. Kurt, not so good of a guy. Didn't really like him. Who cares if that person doesn't like you, right? But when you hear it, just to be real, it could sting a little bit. It sting a little bit, right? It's just the self-image that we have. If someone asks you, or someone asks me, Chase, do you think you can do whatever, XYZ? I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know what you're going to ask me. 85% of the time, I'm going to tell you yes. That's what I came from. I came from my father saying, if you believe it, you can do it. If you don't believe it, then you can't do it. He used to say it to me all the time. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Before I saw that in personal development and I was deluged by it, my dad used to tell me that all the time. And God used to tell me that all the time. It wasn't until I was like a young adult or into my adult years where it hit me so hard. I was like, he's right. I can do anything I want to do. And I did it. I did the stuff I love to do. I did the stuff I wanted to do. So I'm going to open it up to either anyone right now who wants to say something, because I want to hear what you have to say about your self-image and how you see yourself or how you don't see yourself, or maybe how can you see yourself? How about that? Michelle.
I had an amazing conversation with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So, people would occasionally say, "You're such a badass." And I
Yeah.
wouldn't own it. I'd say,
Or the psycho
I'm just
mom.
me. I mean, yeah, why do you say that? I'm just me. And I had this amazing conversation with my daughter when that came up. And she said, "Mom, you are." And then she started ticking off accomplishments and things about me. And she held that mirror up to me.
Nice.
And wow,
Yeah.
you know, so yeah, I am a badass.
I like that.
And I was able to really own it,
Yeah. I love that.
you know?
Love that. I especially love that. Uh-oh. Did your camera go? Can you still hear me? Oh, we lost you. Darn it.
I need to remind myself.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. So every once in a while, I just use that mirror to
Yeah.
remind myself,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know,
Thanks, Michelle. From Michelle to Michelle. Hello.
Grand Rising Huddle family. Good morning, Chase. I'm reminded that I was part of a group of women, sisters,
Yeah.
and for maybe 18 years. And as a point of gratitude, one of the sisters in the circle, her name also being Michelle,
Oh, wow.
in gratitude, oftentimes she would say, "I'm so grateful to be a part of this group of powerful women."
Right.
And I would sit there and in my mind, I was turning my head because I could recognize it in my fellow sisters, but she would say powerful women, and I couldn't identify because
Right.
I didn't see myself as a powerful woman.
Right.
It was only in recent years I reflected on that, and I said, "Okay, I could own that. I'm owning that."
Right.
Now, but for many years, I would listen, but okay, but it didn't, I couldn't see that in myself.
Right.
So, and I'm going to call her after this, after this to
Call
let
her
her
up.
know this.
I like that
I
about
sure
you.
will. But
Yeah.
thank you, Chase. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Nice to see you. What a
Self-image,
smile you have today.
how we see ourselves.
Yes. You look so happy. Thanks for showing your face like that. It's beautiful.
I
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you back. Rashida.
Hey, Grand Rising, everyone. Grand Rising, my dear brother. You always just like to just open this Pandora box for every one of us. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
You know how much I love you, and I know how much you love me. That's the most beautiful
That's
part.
all truth right there. That's all truth.
And I'm listening to this morning, and I listen to Michelle, and it's amazing how we as individuals don't even pinpoint stuff that other people would see and in us. And why I say that is because I have 10 grandkids, and I have.
Rashida, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is your
I,
voice low or is
can
it
you
just
hear me now?
Oh, there you go. Woo, I thought I was going
Okay,
crazy.
and
I was like,
I really appreciate the conversation this morning because I can relate to it, and I also can relate to knowing that my grandkids. I have 10 grandkids, but
and grandkids.
five. I have five granddaughters, two in university. I have one finishing high school, and the other two is teenager. But every time I hear my phone ring and I see one of my granddaughters, they used to say, Nana, my mom told me to call you because they can't give me the answer. What so? And what here is this? They say. I say, oh, so. He said, damn, Nana, you are so to the point. Why you always can give us the answer? And here one of my granddaughter we say, because sometimes they will call me three-way. They say,
Yeah.
I told you, Nana know it all. She know it all. You want to know
Knows
something,
all.
just call Nana. So thank you so much. It just really take me back to my grandkids. Thank you so much, James. I appreciate that.
That's so cool. You know, I said before and I'll say it again. You can listen to people all you want to, but you are the decision maker. You decide who you are. I don't care who you are, right? And the thing is, as a performer, I'm in the business where this matters the most. Trust me, because some people can tell me, no, you can't do it, or you don't have it, or, years ago I told a story. I'll tell it quick. I met a guy who somebody told me to go see. I gave him my promo material. He said, "Oh, yeah, good. You look great, Chase. You sound good. I don't think you're ready yet." I said, "What do you mean you don't think I'm ready? I don't think you're ready to be like, have your own show." And I was like, "Yes, I am. I'm ready. I perform every day. Yeah, I can't really pull you on right now." And I remember saying to him, "Can I have my promo material back?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "If you're not going to use me, what are you going to do? Put it on the shelf? Why? Why do I want my stuff on the shelf?" And I took it back. And 6 months later, I was on the biggest ship at the time, sailing in Italy from a new port, because I didn't believe him at all, at all. Somebody else saw me, boom, boom, boom. I was on a ship, right? I also think that something I want to bring up, because it's very key today, that happened when people were talking. When you hear that you are connected to a group of people who personify themselves as leaders, as strong people, as power, as the top, when you hear that, and then now you're associated to the top, the elite, if you feel that, oh, that's great. You're like, even if you have to remind yourself, like, oh, I'm with the elite. Wow, this is great. This is awesome, right? It's always a reason while you're there. The other night, I had a meeting with someone that is a very, very influential composer, pianist, incredible. Worked with Whitney Houston and Prince and Aretha Franklin and all these people. I was standing next to him, talking to him. My friend told me I have to go and meet him. Next to him was a guy that was a world superstar, that is a musical director for one of the biggest bands in the world. Next to him was one of the best drummers in all of Minneapolis from the scene. Why was I there? My friend placed me in the middle of these three people so that I could work with them in Minneapolis later this year. He placed me there. And the guy was like, "This is great, man. You sound great. I heard your stuff." And in that moment, I was like, yes, I'm getting closer. I'm in the right place. I'm getting closer. These guys have been around multi-millionaire musicians in the best studios, on the best planes, with the best people. They're at the top. I'm here with them at the bar, like they're my next door neighbor. We're just talking. Image. How does you feel about that, right? I can't connect myself to somebody who I don't feel is at a high level, and I won't. However, on the way to getting to that level, we have to be sure who we are and what we're doing, because sometimes we are high level and we're around people who are not high level. We can't ever pull ourselves down. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's keep our image up and take your time moving into that area where you feel like your self-image is better. You need to do more. You're happier in bigger circles. You know, what's that expression? I think it's, if you are the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. So sometimes when you feel like you're at a high level, like the other night, I was with these guys who've done a gazillion things. I was just quiet. I was just talking to them. I was just shaking their hands, exchanging pleasantries. They were so kind with me. We're going to meet in Minneapolis. We're going to do our thing. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to have a great big band album. It's going to be amazing. And those names are going to be on my CD. Wow. It's going to be incredible. Anyway, so I said two different things and I went back and forth. I said, don't let it be about other people. Don't let other people tell you who you are. But I also said, connect to the people who you feel may be high level, glean from them, and make sure that your self-image is intact. That's what I'm trying to say. No one else can make you have a better self-image. But if you're around people, I mean, I think this happens all the time to people. When you are good, when you are at a high level, people tend to tell you that a lot. Oh, I want what you want. I mean, what you have. Oh, I want to do that thing that you did. Oh, I want you to do that thing the way you did it. I need it that way. I want you to be there. I'm like, okay, I'll be there. Awesome. Thank you so much. And you walk away feeling a certain way. Yesterday, I was singing and a guy came up to me. He must have been 85. He looked at me and he goes, you need a bigger audience. You deserve it. And he walked away. And I was like, wow, that's a great sentence. You need a bigger audience. You deserve it. That felt great. He was very authentic. But I said to myself, bing, there's another indicator. I'm getting closer. That's my favorite sentence. You're getting closer, Chase. You're getting closer. I say it to myself all the time. Every day I say it at least 4 or 5 times. So the thing is this. I wanted to talk about this topic today purely extemporaneously because it's a topic that I think about a lot, right? I think about how blessed I am to come from strong individuals. I think about how blessed I am to be a host on the Daily Huddle. I think about how grateful I am to be connected to you guys who I see as champions. I'm not just saying that. To be here on this call, to take in information, to be quiet and listen and walk away feeling better. If I'm at the arrowhead of that, being a host, that makes me emotional. That makes me feel like I'm doing something for other people. And that's what I love the most. I get it from my parents. I brought my father on. I'm going to bring my mother on one day. That's going to be very entertaining for all of you as well. So, did I miss anybody's hands? I don't think so. I thought I saw Stan before, but I don't see him anymore. Okay. So, my good people, so great to see so many great names on here that I love. And we're going to wrap up now because time is having its way with us, as it always is. But as always, we leave with the tenets. Live out loud. Please live out loud, louder than you've been. Love intensely. Laugh as much as you possibly can. Move your body. Move your body every day. I don't care if you walk 1 mile then out and 1 mile back. That's 2 miles. 2 times 30 is 60 miles. I mean, come on, do the math. Work at yourself every day, right? Eat mostly plant-based if you can. If you've never eaten plant-based and you're saying, what is he talking about? I eat meat all the time, period. Just give it a shot for a couple of days. That's all I'm asking you. Just check it out. See if your body moves around, whatever. No stress, right? Sleep as much as you possibly can. Over 6 or 7 hours. I have to redo last night. I can't redo it, but tomorrow has to be a better night because my brain was swimming last night. I think I slept 3 hours. I don't know what I'm thinking about everything. And also stress less and always remember to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Have a spectacular day on purpose, my good people. Be intentional and create the day that you would like to, based on your image of you. And I'm sure it's a good one. Be well, my people. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Chase. Thank you,
Welcome.
everyone.
One love,
Have a
guys.
great